Hello, I'm Kellyanne. I was born in Northern California on August 16, 1961. I was raised on a ranch in Grass Valley, California by my parents Hal and Judy Novak. I have only one sibling. Her name is Shannon, who I absolutely adore. I have one amazing son, Drew, who is the light of my life. I mean, he is the main reason why I am here today. He's the reason why for my success. And I'll tell you why. It was like in 1989, after my son was born, about 2 years later, I discovered that I had uterine cancer. The uterine cancer was hidden underneath endometriosis. So I didn't even know I had it. I had the endometriosis. I went in and had the test done, and that's how they found, the endometriosis. Now, when I went in to have the surgery for the endometriosis, then that's when they discovered that I had uterine cancer hiding underneath it. Now, keep in mind, my mother does not know. Well, she's going to know now if she sees this video. But Mom, seriously, the reason why I didn't tell you or anybody else is for the simple fact that you were dealing with a lot of pain and suffering with Grandma. My grandmother was going through cancer of the lungs. My mom was dealing with that cancer with her. The last thing in the world that my mother needed was to have to deal with cancer with me. So, for that purpose, and only that reason, I did not tell her. I did not tell her or anybody else. And here's another reason why. Because when you have cancer, which is a disease of resentment, I did a lot of study on it to find out a lot more about it and the reason that I had it and where it came from. But I'm not going to go into too much detail about that right now. I'm just kind of trying to give you an idea of where I come from and how I got here. I went through a lot. I had a lot of things happen to me as a child. Don't we all? I mean, we all do. The problem is that a lot of us have this problem of making all that the way our life is supposed to be. And it's not that at all. Do you realize that every time you go through something as a kid, that it is changing you and setting you up for your future? It's really true. To be honest with you, when you're a kid and you're learning how to talk, how to do things or whatever, you learn from your parents, correct? You learn from example, right? Well, the way I learned was that I had a lot of bad stuff happen to me. I was abused from the time I was a little girl, not from my parents, no, but from somebody that was close by. My parents were unaware of it. They didn't know. But do you know what? I found that I blamed my parents for what happened to me. Now, how is that fair, I ask you? Parents do the best that they can. I've said this over and over again. We do not come with a book of instructions. And we do the best we can as parents. And my parents did the best that they could with what they had to work with. We were poor. We had a hard time. We really had a hard time. And as I was growing up, for the longest time, I started thinking that my whole childhood was so bad. But you know what? It really wasn't. It had bits and pieces that were awful. But we all have awful things we go through. Isn't that true? You know what it is? It's like we really have to decide how we're going to allow these things that happen to us as kids to affect our lives as adults. And you know what the worst thing is? Is that we use it as an excuse. We do. Everybody uses it as an excuse. I was abused when I was a child. Oh, well, I'm sorry. I was abused as a child too. Probably 90% of the people in this world were. The thing is, it's not what you go through, it's how you decide to handle it. Look, folks, every time something bad happened to us as kids, it's going to come and erupt in our lives in one way or another. Most of the time it erupts in our relationships. Let me give you an example, okay? In our relationships, as we become adults, it is a fact, a very known fact, that women tend to marry their fathers, okay? And boys, men, tend to marry their mothers. Not in a literal sense. I'm talking about the type of people that we're brought up with. If you're used to abuse, you're used to being yelled at, you're used to being put down, you're used to all these horrible things, then you automatically assume that that's how you're supposed to be and that that's who you're supposed to be with. Well, I'm here to tell you that no, you're not. No, you're not. You know what? You can change it. I did. I literally changed my life. I changed me. I changed everything about me. I changed how I looked at things. I changed how I felt about things. I forgave every single person in my life that hurt me. It didn't matter what they did. But when you don't forgive people for things they've done to you, do you know you're only hurting yourself? You're not hurting them. They could care less whether you forgive them or not. You understand that? So if you go within yourself and you forgive yourself and you forgive everybody that's ever hurt you, everybody, you know what? I promise you, you will feel like a load has been lifted off. You know, too many of us think that we're supposed to be a couple with somebody. That's not necessarily true. It's really whatever you're comfortable with. You know, the thing is, many people have asked me, "Oh, Kelly, aren't you lonely?" No, I'm not lonely. And I'll tell you why. Because I'm happy with me. And I don't need anybody to make me happy. I make myself happy. You don't need anybody to make you happy. You make yourself happy. You have control over your own emotions. I have control over my own emotions. And so do so and so and so and so and so and so, okay? So, what I'm saying is, if you have control over your own emotions, why do you allow people to make you feel awful or bad or sad or guilty? Why do you allow that? You have control over that. It doesn't matter what they say. You know that old adage, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me? I know, it's an oldie but a goodie. It's true. Things that people say and do to you cannot affect you if you don't allow them to. So here's what I'm saying to you. Instead of using the excuse of, oh, I had such a hard childhood, so therefore I have to have a hard adult life. That is not true. You do not have to have a hard adult life unless you choose to. Now, I've done a lot of reading, I've done a lot of study, and I've looked into the use of energy, not only for my practice of healing, but using energy to change my life. And believe me, you can. Do you know that you have control over everything you say, do, or what you become? No one else does. You do. And if you want to be in a loveless relationship with someone who abuses you, then that's your choice. Don't stay in the relationship and say, oh, it's what I'm used to, or oh, it'll get better. Don't you think that you deserve better? I do. And I have walked away from many relationships because I deserved better. And so do you. You know, people come from all different walks of life, so to speak. People, the way they are raised, tend to be the way that they're raised. You know what I mean? I know that sounds kind of funny, but look at it this way. People that are raised in abuse are going to grow up to be abusers if they don't nip it in the bud before they do. I'm telling you, right now, you have control over your own life. You make the decision where you're going to go, who you're going to be with, what you're going to do, what your job is going to be. Why would you allow someone else to dictate that for you? I don't. I live alone with my 2 dogs, and you'll probably see them peering in back and forth behind me. They do that. But when I'm working, they don't. When I'm working, I put them in the BOX, which I don't say the word because they'll go in it, so that they will leave us alone and they don't make a sound. You will not even know I have dogs. But the reason for this video is really to kind of give you a rundown of the type of person that I am and the reason that I have become who I've become. And I've had a lot of really crazy stuff happen to me. But you know what? I used to let it control my life. And then one day I started listening to Louise Hay. I love Louise Hay. She puts everything in perspective for me. When you listen to her, you'll understand. She was in an abused situation when she was a child. She went through so much pain and suffering, just like I did. But it didn't define me. It didn't make me who I am now, but how I dealt with it did make me who I am now. So it's how you deal with it, point blank, to the point, okay? It is not what happens to you. It's how you choose to deal with it. You understand? So, that's about really all I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to let you know that I'm here just to chit chat about some things about me and to give you a rundown on who I am. Hope you have a great day. Bye now.